Call the April 7th, 2025 meeting is Indianola City Council in order. Let's stand for the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Ray.
Here.
Felton.
Aye.
Armstrong.
Here, sorry.
Yeah.
I'm here.
Speech.
Here.
Jones. Mayor Richardson.
Present. Could all be making mistakes. I make one thing on that side of the room
To
too.
make you feel better about yourself.
Yeah, I know. That's what we're all about. We do have one person in public comment. We try to limit these to about 3 minutes. We do have a long meeting tonight, but Kurt Lickus, you have some comments you want to make, I believe, so come on up to the podium.
Well, hey, good evening. My name's Kurt Lickus. I live at 15759 Kennedy Street. I wanted to come this evening to talk a little bit about the wellness campus and specifically the swimming pool. Did I just do something, computer? I'm not personally acquainted with everybody on the council, so I just wanted to kind of introduce myself. I've been involved in swimming here in Indianola since 1999 when I moved back. I'm a city native, was on the first swim team in Indianola. Spent some time in the Navy. The Navy actually used me to train inner city kids to pass the Navy swim test for recruits out of the Chicago area for a while too, after I finished up my active duty. But I've been a lifeguard. I've managed the outdoor pool. I've served on Parks and Rec Commission, the Veterans Memorial Commission. I've also been a school board member as well. And with respect to the Wellness Center, I was the head coach of the Indianola Swim Club with 125 swimmers. I was also serving on the school board and head high school swimming coach during the lead up to the facility that we then built as the YMCA. And I've just got some concerns about how I'm feeling about regarding some of the information that I'm getting about the viability of swimming at the wellness campus. And I guess I say feeling, and that's kind of my main purpose in being here tonight is over the course of all those years of being involved with swimming here, I've been very fortunate to have tremendous people that I've worked with, tremendous volunteers. And I'm just concerned that everybody is aware of resources you might have to get more information or to better understand how many kids have been involved previously. Unfortunately, we're at a situation now where the wellness campus decided to terminate their association with the swim club or a team for kids. And the numbers had gotten down to around 45. And all the time that was going on, they had more staffing than we had when we were running 125 kids in a 6-lane pool over at Simpson College. And then also in the summers, and Doug and I are well acquainted with the number of kids that we've had through those programs. But I just want to make sure that we're visible and that the kids are visible and all of the tremendous people that are associated with these programs are visible for you too. And, I just stand ready to any information, any challenge or task that you might have. It's imperative to me that we keep swimming a viable option here. I think, Birdland is in jeopardy of closing in Des Moines. And I thought this was a really good quote out of Chris Coleman. He said, public pools aren't just amenities, but they're harm reduction tools. We should be making every effort that every child knows life-saving skills, has the awareness and understanding of water safety. And I think that's equally true. And I think that's been one of the challenges we've had is that the location of the pool does not make it ideal for utilization by the school system. But I think that there's a lot of creative ways to work around that. There's ways to improve the cohesiveness of our efforts amongst the community school system, the college, and the people of our community who really benefit from and utilize the pool. So I just wanted to say, I'm just pleased to be able to be here tonight, be able to give a little bit of voice to some of those people and some of the kids. And I just wanted to make myself available in any way I could. I feel like I've worked as hard as I can to support swimming in this community, and And like I say, I wasn't familiar with everybody and I wanted everybody to be able to put a name with a face and if there were questions or anything I could do to be helpful, extend that invitation.
Thank you, Kurt.
Thanks.
Doug, will you follow up with Kurt about some of the latest meetings we've had on that issue? Thank you. Is there anybody else who'd like to have public comment here tonight? Seeing none, we'll move on to the consent agenda. Are there items to be pulled?
Item F.
Anything else? I take a motion to approve everything but item F.
Moved.
A motion and a second. Doug, you want to run through things quickly here? Good, please. Oh, there you go.
Have several applications that will be approving today. It's like second ordinance of amendment for the municipal code of Indianola to change the zoning for Pickard Estates. Old number F, letter F. Using the fire department and city hall for some education purposes, so we recruit firefighters in the future too. An agreement between Warren County Speedway and the fire department for services. An agreement with Iron Associates for Iowa. Studies. For the agreement against for nuisances. So revitalization and salary.
Okay, thank you. A motion and a second. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Councilmember Armstrong,
Aye.
Beach,
Aye.
Stones,
Aye.
Ray,
Aye.
Bobby,
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. On to item F. Do I have a motion and a second?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second discussion.
Have anything to add? We had our discussion a couple weeks ago, so I'm just keeping my vote.
Okay.
Consistent.
Ready? Any other comments? Clerk, call the roll, please.
Councilmember Dalby,
Aye.
Armstrong,
No.
Beach,
Aye.
Stones,
Aye.
Ray,
Aye.
Motion carries 4-1. All right, council committee reports. Do we have anybody have any reports at all? I do have a list of things here. We probably need to go back through and look at some of these different groups that we're on. I know that we kind of did that at the beginning of the year, but I think maybe we just need to go back and revisit and see. We've got SERPA, which I've been involved with. Melissa, you're a backup on that. Would that be something you might want to be interested in doing? That's why regional transportation.
Sure.
Okay. No APs on that as a tech committee. This is the policy committee. MPO, I can take that over. I know that was usually the mayor, and we'll get into that. E911 board, Chief Hurt, are you still doing that? Okay, thank you. And then Ron, you're the alternate on that.
Yes.
You're still a Greater Des Moines Convention, correct? Okay.
Yep.
Landfill, both you and Melissa.
Yep.
Okay. Steve is still Mayor Pro Tem. Metro Advisory, I can do that one. The Warren County Economic Development, Doug, I think you're filling in for that right now. Is that right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Josh is the alternate. I think probably what we'll need to do is get city manager and we'll take care of that as well. Warren County E9E Emergency Management. Ron, are you involved with that at all?
So I went and voted for the city last Monday.
Okay.
Typically, it's ran by, or the mayors from other communities attend that, and
Okay.
we had discussed whether or not you were gonna take that over. You were busy in
Yeah.
March during that vote, so I mean, I can either stay on it, or if you want
If
to.
you would, until we get our city manager on board, I appreciate it.
Sure, that's no problem.
North and Middle River Watershed Management Authority, I don't know if we've had any contact on that. I've not seen any emails. Do you get any emails, Jackie, or anybody?
I think there was one meeting. Jared's not here. I think we had one meeting recently.
Okay.
The chairs of it.
Yeah.
Okay, and then Main Street, we've got to talk about that as well. We can look at that in the future here. I know Aaron Young is on that now. But I think maybe it's probably a good idea if we talk about maybe getting.
Are you talking about the board or?
Yes,
I do have something for that.
okay, go ahead.
Main Street is still an event. First,
Yes, thank you.
501(c)(5) day on the square. on Howard Street specifically. They want you to come out and have some fun with them from 5 to I believe 8. It's kind of they want to bring back May baskets and just want you to come out and have fun. There is an order form circulating right now. If you want a 5125 t-shirt, go to the Main Street page and you can order one of those. They're very vibrant and the fundraiser for Main Street that they put on.
Unique situation. Our zip code is also our 50125, so thank you. Okay, presentation, Greater Des Moines Partnership, or Tiffany, you're here. Thank you. Come on up.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Thanks so much, Mayor and members of council staff for having us. I'm Tiffany Tauschek. I'm the president and CEO of the Greater Des Moines Partnership, and I'm joined today by my colleague.
Hi, Stacy Levon, Senior Vice President of Economic Development, and Indianola resident.
I was gonna say, I don't think we know who you are.
I've never been here before.
I know, right? Well, thank you so much. And I know tonight we're actually joined by quite a few friendly partners and faces as well. Amanda sent a note saying she's sorry she couldn't make it, but we work really closely with the chamber, of course, as well as Warren County Economic Development, specifically Rachel and Lucinda. So really, really glad to have their support. Also, Amanda serves on the Greater Des Moines Partnership Board. So you do have a face and voice at the Greater Des Moines Partnership Board meetings as well. So we spent a lot of time partnering together in a lot of different ways, but wanted to just essentially deliver 2 messages to you tonight. The first is a message of thanks and gratitude for our continued partnership and collaboration. You, your team, your partners are highly engaged in the Greater Des Moines Partnership. Mayor, you in particular, we very, very much appreciate your engagement.
So has Steve been involved too? Yes.
We've seen you at many meetings too, Steve, so really, really appreciate that. And of course, our continued work with Warren County Economic Development. But we wanted to say thanks, but we also want to give you an update on some of our metrics. So we know that outcomes and deliverables are really important. We are metrics driven and data driven, so wanted to share some of those updates with you, but also remind you of the great partnership that we have. So through the Greater Des Moines Partnership, you are part of this larger collaboration of 12 different counties and 34 economic development partners that are a part of this. We have over 400 investors, including nationwide, and a number of different chambers of commerce who are affiliated with us. So their members are also our members. So that makes us overall collectively together the 3rd largest regional chamber of commerce in the country, because we represent over 6,700 businesses in this 12 county footprint. And interestingly, that's also about 870,000 residents in Iowa that our footprint represents. So really, really proud of that and pleased. Also, this helps us on the national level as we're looking to get things done federally and looking to be heard. We know that we're going to be louder together. So we'll talk more about that in a moment. But wanted to just remind you of our 5-year strategy. So we really are an organization that focuses on economic development and talent development with public policy as a supporting strategy. So every 5 years we go out and we get commitments from different organizations, including the city of Indianola, asking you to help us shape what the future looks like for the Greater Des Moines region. And we also know that what you're doing in Indianola is really important, certainly to Indianola, but also to our broader network throughout the 12 counties that we represent. So we have some updates to share with you tonight. I'm going to turn it over to Stacy to share specifically some of our economic development numbers.
Thank you, Tiffany. So just to give you, just wanted to start with a little bit of the background of the economic development team. Since we were formed in 1999, we have assisted 759 companies with expansion locations within the region. That is creating 37,000 jobs and an investment of over $14.7 billion. These are just a few logos of some of the companies that we worked with in 24. Every year, this changes just depending on whoever has expansion projects or are locating in the region. And on the economic development team, we really have 2 primary focuses. One, help companies that are already here grow and expand. Help them be prosperous so they can grow and hire new employment and invest in our communities. The second piece that we do is attraction. We are out there marketing the greater Des Moines region, across the nation, and internationally, saying, please bring your business here. Des Moines is a great location, and here's why. So we really focus first on the business retention expansion. Our heavy emphasis in this area is mainly because 80% of our growth we know will come from our local companies. We do this through working with our partners as well as talking to businesses across the region, asking common questions and kind of building a dashboard. What are they saying? What are businesses feeling? And what do we need to do to improve our region to help them succeed? And here, I'll let you look through these. These were some of the key findings from our 2024 effort. From a business recruitment standpoint, we do some of our marketing efforts in conjunction with the Iowa Economic Development Authority, but we have quite a few marketing efforts we do on our own. Tiffany will highlight our digital marketing campaign and some of those pieces, but we are out traveling the nation talking about the region, and I'll get into some of that. When we are selling the greater Des Moines region, we're focused on advanced manufacturing, logistics, insurance, financial services, data centers, ag innovation, and technology. Those are our core industries in our region and where we really thrive. Now, we work with a lot of companies that do not fall within these industry sectors, but we have to have something to target. So we are very focused on who do we go after. And why is it important that we are marketing nationally? There are more than 10,000 economic development organizations across the US. They're all trying to land that 100 to 200 major projects each year. And when I say a major project, we're talking about a project that is going to invest over $100 million. So from our lead generation standpoint, as you can see, 87% of our leads are generated locally. About 13% of our leads come from the state. And that's been pretty consistent over the past 10 years. 17% over 10-year period came from the state. This is a list of where we went in 24. There were 23 marketing trips. The trade shows and conferences are pretty self-explanatory. We're out talking to businesses in our industry sector, as well as meeting with site selectors who work projects to bring them locally. Metro recruitment trip is where we go into a large metropolitan area and we set up one-on-one appointments. And we have at least 10 or 12 to 15 appointments in each metropolitan area where we are talking about what the central Iowa area has to offer them. And then we did join the governor on a trade mission to India this past year, which actually resulted an expansion project came out of that. Our leads came from basically 13 states and 6 countries in 24. And people are always asking, as we are talking about economic development, what are the trends? What are you seeing out there? I put this together about 2 months ago. So think about that. Things may have shifted a little bit, but for the most part, it's still focused for industrial sector on supply chain resiliency and onshoring. Office, it's a move to Class A office space and trying to get employees wanting to come back to the office. Data centers will locate wherever they can find the electricity and have the land to be able to support them. Housing, we can remain in a constrained housing economy. We were at existing homes available across the US at a 40-year low. And then in retail, it's really experiential retail and redevelopment of big box stores and retail. And on this slide right here, I really want you to focus on the red piece for right now. Why is this all important to Indianola? And it's because we reiterate, we are a regional economy. If you look at the commuting patterns for Indianola, of your Indianola residents who live in Indianola, 22% actually work here in town. That means almost 78% of our residents are driving somewhere else to work within the region. Of your employees who work in Indianola, 28.4% live in Indianola. So you are also attracting a large percentage of your workforce to drive in from some other location. With that, I will turn it back to you, Tiffany.
You got it. So the other key piece of the work we do is talent development, and that consists of a number of different strategies and tactics, including helping with our national marketing campaign. So essentially, if you think about cell phones, we target individuals that would have their propensity to move here based off of their cell phone usage, the websites they're looking at, keyword searches, et cetera, et cetera. So we're able to get our messaging to them, and then we work them through our funnel to hopefully get them to the point where they want to move here, right? So another strategy we have is with our intern connection program. So if you have any intern that you are recruiting, we would invite you to ask them to participate in the DSM Intern Connection Program. Last year, we had 349 interns from about 70 colleges and universities from around the country that were in the Greater Des Moines region. We did a survey with them, and at the end of their time, about 75% of them said because of their experience, they now want to move here. So we have a really great opportunity to get talent here and help them thrive here. If you would help us with recruiting those talent into the Intern Connection Program specifically. And then our Career Ready Collective program is really geared towards high school students. So if you know of any high school students that would be interested in this program, it's a summer program, and it's a great way to help educate them on basically what the different career pathways are here in the region, connect them with other leaders in the region, and help them with things like networking, how to work a room, updating your resume, how to go after scholarships, these sorts of things. So that's been a really great program. We had
Could
about,
I ask a question on that?
absolutely.
Is there a cost to that for Ready Collected? Is there
To
a
the
cost to
students?
it to the students?
No, actually, we pay them for their time.
Seriously? So, and these are high school kids, right?
High school kids.
We have a mayor's youth council, so I might be seeing if we can maybe get some folks involved.
We would be delighted.
I'd love
have-
to see if they'd be interested.
That would be great.
Okay.
Yes, we are happy to.
Stacy, once you get a hold of me, we'll talk.
We'll do that. Work on that. Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate the question. And please feel free to interrupt me at any point if you have additional questions. Otherwise, we'll fly through this. So rankings are certainly a key piece that we continue to lift up and celebrate. We also have a YPC, so a Young Professionals Connection, where we have hundreds of different young professionals, those who deem themselves young professionals, that can be a part of this program, and a lot of different ways that we help connect them. And they do a great job in networking and creating opportunities for the other YPCers throughout the region. We also have the DSM USA Welcome Guide. So this highlights the different communities throughout the region that we represent. We leverage this too, as I mentioned, that talent funnel. We leverage this to the talent that are thinking about moving here, but we also leverage this for the talent who have just moved here. And we're able to do that through a number of different ways that we connect with them, including our DSM USA welcome receptions, where we help and welcome these new residents to our community, help them get connected to one another, help them get connected to wonderful different offerings throughout our region. But we also have the DSM MVPs program. I wanted to lift this up. You have James McConnell from Indianola, who's serving as a DSM MVP. Think of these folks as your super ambassadors. They're helping us attract talent here, meeting with them via phone or Zoom or Teams. And then once those folks move here, if they're comfortable, they'll meet with them face to face. Mayor, I think we need to add you to this group. We'd love to have you. I know you'd make a great recruiter too.
I see you. Now you got that picture just specifically on the next one, right? Well,
With that, wanted to also lift up the DMDC trip, which you have been active participants on in the past, and really, really appreciate that you've been able to participate in the past. Last year, we had over 200 different leaders that we chartered a plane and flew into DC for a few days. This year, the trip is May 7th through 9th, and looking forward to continue having those conversations. And yes, we have lots of pictures of you, Mayor, if your team ever needs more for your marketing materials. Additionally, the chamber support, which I touched on earlier, we work really closely with Amanda, who's fantastic. She's serving on our board. But there's a number of different ways that your chamber, as well as your members, your businesses, can get involved in the Greater Des Moines Partnership. So I wanted to share with you a couple different examples in addition to those that are on the screen. So first is we have Scale DSM, which is our business accelerator program for businesses that are really looking to scale up. But we also have a Spark DSM business incubator program. We have one of your business, Rebel Wellness, who is participating, applied to be a Spark DSM incubator business. So this allows them at no charge to them to be on site at the downtown farmers market and be a vendor. And then they receive all kinds of wraparound support, consulting as a small business to help grow their business. So we had 46 different businesses that applied to participate just in Spark DSM this year, which is a record for us for the 3-year program that we've had now. And there's a number of other one-on-one small business consulting offerings that we have. And again, just want to reinforce that is at no cost to any of your businesses because of this relationship that we have with you and your chamber. And also wanted to lift up that we are really excited to partner with you all with Indianola Chamber and then hold this event at Simpson on May 1st, a supplier development program. So I think we just sent out the press release even today about that to get people excited and signed up. It sounds like a great way to jump into the day before your big celebration that evening. And it's a great way to help support local and connect some of our businesses with some local suppliers as well. So again, that's in addition to a number of other offerings, a number of different rankings, which we really pride ourselves on being able to lift up and tell these stories. That helps us with getting additional attention on our region. Our team, our marketing comms team works to not only help get those rankings, but also leverage those rankings for national media placement. Just recently, we were able to leverage the number 3 most livable region stat in Reader's Digest. And yes, a lot of people still read Reader's Digest. Population growth, we continue to have great population growth as a region with an average of 27 people moving here every day, averaging about 16% over the course of the last decade or so, according to the US Census Bureau. Oh, I'm sorry, one of our pictures isn't showing up, but we do a regional activation with the National Balloon Classic called the Great DSM Hot Air Balloon Hunt, which is kind of a tongue-in-cheek activation because how do you hide a huge hot air balloon, right? That's the fun of it, is that it helped. We were able to partner with them and then have different balloons placed throughout the entire region and help promote the National Balloon Classic. And certainly you have a number of other wonderful amenities in your community as well, including the opera. So really, really appreciate all the city of Indianola does. And with that, just want to ask you to help us continue to tell that story loud, bold, and broad. No one's going to tell the story for us. It's up to us to do that as a region and as a community and as business leaders. So happy to do that. And then finally, our Capital Crossroads, which is the regional vision plan. Wanted to make sure that you all are aware that this work is happening and it's really continuing to tie in Warren County, I think, on the career pathways work in particular. We're really excited to work with you on that. And finally, here's just a quick look at some of the different benefits that you receive as a Greater Des Moines Partnership investor. So wanted to share that with you as well. We are happy to answer questions, Mayor and Council.
Well, as I probably have told you and Ryan as well, due to some budget constraints, we're not gonna be able to go on the trip this year, which
I
is
heard
unfortunate. But we do have Rachel, and I think, I'm not sure who all is going from Warren County, but we'll have some voice there as well. And I probably have told you this, I know I've told Ryan, but we've kind of gotten to the point where we pay, so we feel like we need to play. And so that's probably why you've seen a lot of us lately, because we want to take part and get involved and do what we need to do to make sure that the money we spend with you folks not only is benefiting the entire community, but also that we're getting our dollars worth, I guess would be the way to put it. And so we do appreciate that. Couple of comments I just want to make, and if anybody else has any questions, I really appreciated your regional summit last fall where you had the 12 county folks come in. I thought that was very beneficial and an opportunity to learn and from folks outlying metro area, outside that metro area. And I thought that was a very good event that you had, and I hope you do it again. Stacy, I appreciate the business leads you've been sending us. I know we got a couple here recently, and I do appreciate that. And I also want to just give a shout out to Ryan Moon and his efforts on Capitol Hill. I know he's been working with the Iowa League of Cities and a couple of the other PDI and a few other folks too on some of the property tax bills that are going through right now. And we do appreciate the efforts that you folks put in on that. So thank you.
Thank you for your active engagement in our Government Policy Council.
Yes.
Really appreciate that. And yes, we are hosting the Regional Summit again. It will be September 17th. I
Okay.
would love to have you there. And if anybody's interested in helping serve on a small task force that we formed to help with all the content, we'd love to have you.
Well, Stacy can talk to you about that. I'm sure I get my arm twisted one way or the other. Somebody else will be here. Do we have any other questions for these two? I do appreciate them coming down.
I may get a copy of the presentation.
I'll send it to you.
Okay, thank you. We'll be in attendance on May 1st. I have that on my calendar.
Thank you so much.
Thank
And I
you.
won't be here either that day. I don't get back until May 7th, so on a trip.
That you're well represented.
Yeah, we are well represented. That's right. So anybody else have any questions?
So we have, in addition to our industrial park, that we would obviously like to get filled up. I don't know if maybe Amanda or Warren County is working with you guys, but how do we make it visible so that you're aware of what our facilities or what our land or what our industrial park's able to handle? So when you're out recruiting, maybe you could throw a pitch out for that.
Sure, we do. There are a couple ways. One, you're automatically included. I know that Rachel makes sure that things are updated on our Location One information system, so always on the website. But we also have what's called an RFI Ready Sites program, where you can go through, it's like 100 and some questions that we make sure is answered that says this site is development ready and ready to go, and they get a little bit more attention on the marketing side. So I'd recommend that might be a path.
I did just talk to Rachel a few weeks ago and kind of talked through some things that I knew was available. It came about as we received one of the emails from the Des Moines Partnership. I just made a call to her asking if she'd received it. We just talked through some things ongoing. But I feel like we should do that too.
No, we do appreciate your work, so thank you. Any other questions? We're good. Thank you. Thank you for the presentation. Appreciate it. Okay, Des Moines Metro Opera, I think, are they, here, there we go.
Hi.
Michael, are you still awake from your trip back from Spain?
Yeah, we just got back yesterday, so. Don't know what time it is, but.
Yeah.
Let's start with the propaganda and we'll pass that around here. Thank you for having me tonight. My name is Michael Eagle. I'm the General and Artistic Director for Des Moines Metro Opera. And I live at 305 West Clinton, Indianola. I know what state and county I meant here, Indianola, Iowa. And I want to just report back on a project that you all helped to make possible and to talk to you about potentially some extremely exciting things that could be coming down the pike in the next several years. I'm here to report on a master facility plan for the Blank Performing Arts Center that was jointly commissioned by both DMMO and Simpson College working together. And as a reminder, the city contributed $15,000 to that study. Part of the team that prepared that study was led by Schuler and Shook theater planners out of Chicago, Illinois, working together with OPN architects here in the Des Moines area, Threshold Acoustics out of Chicago, design engineers on mechanical electrical engineering, Raker Road structural engineering, and Story Construction on pre-construction cost and advice. I hope that you all are aware of, to some degree or another, the Blank Performing Arts Center on the west side of Simpson campus, which is our home theater. It's been our home for 53 seasons. It was built in 1970. The architect was Chick Herbert, who also designed the Civic Center in downtown Des Moines just a couple of years later. So our facilities, came first, right? And although BPAC was built on Simpson's campus, it was conceived and designed with the idea in mind that it might eventually be the home of a professional company for theater or opera or something in addition to the college's academic program in theater. And we came along just a couple of years afterwards. Just a few reminders here that DMO does not own that building. It is owned by the college. We have a lease with Simpson and we work in partnership on its maintenance and its continued occupation, et cetera. We have a lease that covers housing and other things for 280 company members that we bring to Indianola every summer. And they occupy the campus and enjoy it very much, as well as just generally being in Indianola. I'll also say at this point a reminder that DMO does own the Lauridsen Opera Center, formerly the Indianola Carnegie Library. And a reminder that we spent $4 million just a few years ago on renovating that facility off the town square. We also own 3 Morton buildings on the industrial park area northeast of Indianola that are scenic shops and costume storage, et cetera. We just completed the 3rd building last year and invested about $1 million in some climate controlled space out there northeast of town. So we've invested pretty heavily here in Indianola. The Blank Performing Arts Center served us well over these years, but many decades of critical needed maintenance do now present some significant concerns for the mid and long-term future for both us and Simpson. These structural and safety concerns affect not just the audience, but the performers and those who work all day long in the facility in the summer and during the school year. The building is certainly showing its wear and tear, both on the interior and exterior. And in short, it's kind of reaching the end of its lifespan for a building of its era, its style and vintage of the late sort of 1960s, early 1970s. It served its purpose and it doesn't really owe anybody anything anymore. So we find ourselves at a crossroads as a company. We must bring that building into the 21st century if we are to plan for it and for Indianola to continue to be the long-range home of the company. And so we undertook this study to understand what kind of deferred maintenance would be necessary to repair, as well as additional space because the company has grown significantly and is bursting at the seams to make our season happen. I will not go through a complete laundry list of all of the things that the study aimed to address. But I will give you just a few ideas. There's significant water leakage, replacements to the fires, the fly system and the stage floor and the catwalks above the audience's head, which are aging and deteriorating, power systems that are no longer substantial enough for lighting systems or for Iowa PBS to come and power trucks to broadcast from the stage. Lack of secure storage for valuable sets, electronic gear, LED screens, costumes, wigs, makeup, all of which have gone missing or stolen. Creating more space for children's chorus members to change into costumes and rehearse in facilities different and other than for where the adults are, a very important thing. Right now, we currently store most of our scenery in the back parking lot. If you drive by during the summer, you'll notice lots of things under tarps, which when you spend $250,000 on a set, the last thing you want to do is store it outside in Iowa at night, hoping the tarps don't blow away and blow the sets to Milo or to Martinsdale, which has happened before. In addition, adding restrooms and handicap accessibility for performers and others. There are 2 women's stalls and 2 men's stalls in the backstage for the entire company of 100 people. So these are just electrical conduit rotting through from the 1970s, patron seats reaching the end of their lifespan, and then reimagining some of the audience facing facilities. These are all things that we aim to look at through this master facility plan and understanding what would be involved. I still believe that the venue is one of the best places to experience a live performance in the United States. Certainly the New Yorker and the Wall Street Journal and the Chicago Tribune and the New York Times and others agree. And our audiences do too, as we've discovered through many surveys. Last year, just by way of example, audience members joined us at DMMO performances from 42 states and 6 other countries, as well as 66 Iowa counties. But these needs for renovation are not going away, and they're not getting lower or less expensive or more or less important in need. We have to grapple with this issue holistically, seriously, and really with some speed to preserve the Blank Performing Arts Center as a viable home for our company going forward. Just as a way of reminder, we have done a lot of steps since the end of the pandemic. The big project, and with 2 entities partnering together to work on it, there's a lot of steps that we need to take together. And so we're just doing it one step at a time. We did a planning report in 2021 by Schuler and Shook. We did a 2023 programming document also by Schuler and Shook. And then we partnered with Bravo Greater Des Moines for a venue feasibility study in 2023 by Keene Independent that projected costs for us for 3 different options. And those options were to partner with Drake University on the construction of a new facility on their campus, what the cost structure would be to build a brand new theater standalone in downtown Des Moines, and also what it might cost to renovate the existing theater at Simpson College. We gathered very robust data and opinions about these choices from audience members and donors. The response to the survey was really overwhelming, actually, way more than we thought. And I'm happy to report that many of the audience members feel very strongly about the Indianola location. So that's an exciting thing. So the next step we undertook was this master facility plan. And the idea was to drill down into the condition of the existing building and what a plan to renovate it would be and how Simpson and DMMO might work on this together should we go forward. We needed to know the costs and the condition and what it would be for us to occupy the building for the next 50 years. This study was funded in part by the city of Indianola, of course, Warren County Board of Supervisors, as well as Warren County Economic Development. And I will just note that this study focused only on the theater building itself. It didn't focus on housing or any of the other buildings that we work on and occupy with Simpson. Both the Simpson board and the DMMO board have now heard this report, and I spoke recently with the mayor, who urged me to update the council following your investment in this report. I do have a copy for you all. I don't have a slideshow version, but I do have a copy of what was prepared and presented to both of our boards. It imagines and design a new additions to the facility that address the needs that I talked about and estimates potential costs. The plan does project the phasing the project over a number of years and offered us 3 different price points for various options for the project. What you are looking at is the most robust option that was presented to us as an organization, and the version that we believe we need to go forward with in order to make the facility viable for us for the next 50 years. There are other versions at different cost levels as well. We will continue to take this exploration now that we have this study and this information, one step at a time, and work lockstep with Simpson in exploration. We've made no determinations one way or another as to where we will wind up at this point in time. But with Simpson, we have agreed that the next step that we will undertake is a fundraising feasibility study that will survey largely private donors as well as community leaders, both in Indianola and Des Moines, and granting institutions and state leaders as well, to determine what the level of financial interest in renovating this facility is likely to be. I will say that it's my prediction that should we go forward with a large capital project to renovate and restore the building, that it will rely most largely on private contributions and private donors. That feasibility study is going to be conducted over the summer and into the fall, with results coming in the fall. I have to say that throughout this process, we've appreciated the support of the city, not just through this facility planning project, but over the last 4 years as we've been really considering the future of this building. There have been many members of council and others, and thank you, Mayor, as well, who have advocated for the company and helping us to envision Indianola and Simpson as continued partners and hosts for DMMO for the next years to come. I'm grateful to you all as leaders in this community that you recognize the impact, the economic impact and the quality of life that hosting one of the state's largest arts organizations here in town provides back to the community of Indianola. I gave you all a one-page economic impact sheet that outlines that DMMO is currently a $5.5 million company that provides nearly $12 million a year in economic impact to the community and to the region per our 2022 study. I'll just close by saying one other thing, that the annual community betterment funds and support that the council has given to us and been allocated through the city budgeting process is very helpful to us. I understand we're in a time when budgets have to be considered and funds are not what they were a few years ago. But I will say that being able to have the City of Indianola logo on the super title machine above the stage before every performance in front of all of those audience members, having that endorsement on all of our materials enables me to go to board and donors and others and to say that Indianola not just talks the talk about supporting the company, but also walks the walk in supporting and in making it clear that we are valued here and that this is a great home for us. I'll just close by saying, reminding you of two points or two key takeaways, that no decision has been made yet at this time. We are indeed moving now into the fundraising feasibility stage, where we will be interviewing about 40 to 50 private donors and leaders, as I mentioned, to determine what the level of project that we can undertake is and whether that will be sufficient to be a home for the company for the next 50 years. And then finally, just to offer thanks to the council for funding this study, for the information that was gained, We most greatly appreciate it. I know that the board, particularly of the opera and the college, were really pleased that the city came forward to help us take these next steps together. And we look forward to what comes next. I'm happy to take any questions. I know that's a lot of information, but just wanted to update you as to where we were following that study.
Very clear that dollars we spend return more than double or triple our investment, and in fact, way much more than that. And Bravo helps you as well and provides funding as well, and we contribute, and we'll continue our contributions to Bravo to the next fiscal year. Appreciate that very much, everything you folks do. Anybody else have any comments or questions for Michael?
I'll just close by saying that, as you look through that information, it is a high, certainly a daunting fundraising challenge should we go forward with the full project. But I also think that if we are able to do that and to secure the support for that, it will be a significant, I hope, a significant source of pride and a really major facility to add to the community here. A lot of energy and excitement could be generated about that. And there could be a significant amount of community usage added to the facility, much more so than there currently is now. Community events, community concerts, and that's one of the things that we'll be investigating in the feasibility study.
I'm gonna put you on the spot a little bit here, that if a person had just one choice of what opera to go to, which one would you choose? This next year?
Cunning Little Vixen.
Thank you.
Good for kids, lots of animals and remarkable technological display. And it's only one act and it's 90 minutes long. So if you're coming for the first time, you sit for the shortest period of time.
Do you know your timeline at all?
You mean for the next phase?
Yes.
Yeah, the feasibility study, we hope will be underway, interviewing donors and things over the course of the summer and into the early fall, based on their schedules and their availabilities, that sort of thing. We have a list of about 50 to 60 major, potential major donors that we'll be interviewing. So it takes a while to get through that. But our goal is to have it finished in the early fall, see where we land.
Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Appreciate the time.
Thank you.
Okay, up next is to receive and file the February 2025 EMS billing activity report. Questions for the chief? Even none, we've received and filed that. We just need to vote on that? No?
Yep.
Okay.
Just voice vote.
Huh?
Voice vote is fine.
All those in favor of receiving and filing, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Mayor's report, quick thing. Some of them already mentioned, but I just want to mention a couple things. This is Library Week. I don't know if anybody knows that. Tomorrow I will be reading a proclamation at the library at 11 o'clock, I believe. And anybody wants to show up for that, that's fine. April 21 to 25th is spring cleanup. So that will be the time in which items can be placed on the curb. Please make sure you check the website for the requirements of that. And so we don't have a lot of stuff out there that shouldn't be there, but at the same time, I'll make sure that we follow the rules on that. May 10th is the fire department pancake breakfast here at City Hall. And I met with Mayor's Youth Council, and so did the chamber, and we met at the chamber office, had a good meeting there. And it was a good opportunity. So that's my mayor's report. So with that said, let's go on to old business. We have Sunstone Investments. We have public hearing regarding the proposal to enter into an agreement with Sunstone Investment LLC. So I need a motion to enter into a public hearing in a second and a vote. A motion and a second. Clerk call the roll.
Councilmember Beach.
Aye.
Stones.
Aye.
Ray.
Aye.
Bobby.
Aye.
Armstrong.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. We're in a public hearing now. Is there anybody here to give a report, or if Bill or somebody? I'm not sure who we have.
As you guys read in the packet, the developer's responsibilities listed in the agreement are public improvements to the intersection of Jefferson and Trail Ridge Roads, the realignment of the driveway for the vet clinic, an extension of public utility services, the construction of 3 commercial pads, construction of housing units where a minimum must of 31% must be LMI. And then they have to do annual certifications to the city in order to receive their economic development grants. Those will begin December 1st of 2028 and in June 1st of 2038, up to $3,888,219.
Is there anybody here that wishes to speak on this particular issue? Member Dahl, did you have your question answered on one of the part of that agreement?
Yeah, so I had a question if the TIF agreement accounted for any state legislation that would do away with TIF, that the city would not be held accountable financially for a portion of the TIF, and it's in there. I think it was section
8.3 or something?
A3C is so. Okay. Thank you.
Well, thanks for bringing that up. Any other comments from anybody in the audience? Motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Clerk call the roll.
Councilmember Beach,
Aye.
Sones, Ray,
Aye.
Dolly,
Aye.
Armstrong.
Aye.
We have a resolution authorizing entering into a development agreement with Sunstone Investments LLC. Do I have a motion and a second?
Move.
Second.
Motion and a second. Clerk will call the roll.
Councilmember,
Just a moment. Any discussion first? Sorry. Clerk will call the roll.
Councilmember Dolly,
Aye.
Armstrong,
Aye.
Beach,
Aye.
Sones,
Aye.
Ray,
Motion carries 5-0. Item number 2, Jackie, this is whether we move forward on this one issue. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So what we have before us here is a decision whether or not we will be doing, I'm gonna just let Bill or Jackie explain this for a second if we can. So who needs to talk about this?
oh, excuse me, there's no file. Sorry, we wrote a resolution or a memo, but I don't see it in there. This is to put a traffic light in at the corner of Kentucky and Jefferson Avenue. What we would have to do is amend our current urban renewal plan for that area to include that intersection, because right now it does not. Once we amended the urban renewal plan, we would then be able to use TIF to pay for this traffic light. It's estimated to be around $700,000 to put in that traffic light. We reached out to Michael Maloney and he does believe that we will generate enough TIF to be able to pay for that stoplight.
Sorry, this was in our packet.
We wrote a memo, but it doesn't look like it got included in there, so I apologize for that.
So, council, we need a little discussion on this. And if we can get a motion one way or the other, we'll go from there. Let's look at it at another meeting, but
Staff just needs direction on whether or not to move forward with asking our attorney to amend that urban renewal plan or not.
I remember correctly reading the memo that we got last week on kind of the update to this whole thing. It seems like there are a lot of parts, multiple parts of this whole deal that are changing.
right.
Seems to me like we probably need to have some holistic discussions to make sure we actually understand what we're doing before we pay attorneys to amend things. That would be my thoughts, and especially kind of going even any more blind tonight. There's just a lot that has changed this whole project, including parkland dedications and stuff like that. I think we need to holistically look at the whole thing here and make sure we know what we're doing, instead of just finally jumping into it.
I was gonna say if it'd make more sense till after tonight when we've filled our 6th seat as well. To have a full discussion of everything too.
What was your comment?
I said we amend it one time versus
By many,
amending it
yeah.
for this and then the parkland dedication and.
That would, the parkland dedication part would be an amendment to the development agreement.
Right.
It'd be 2 separate amendments.
But we need to do it all, try to put it all
Do it
together.
all at once, yeah. Once we know more
It's one
about how the
discussion,
development
though.
agreement may change, that may change the amount of TIF we get in.
Doug, do we table this or we, Mr. Fulton, do we table this and then go to the next one, or what do we do?
You can table it. You're just giving directions, so you can just,
Just leave it at that?
it doesn't really say you need to
take an action item, so you can just tell staff to bring it back to you.
Okay, let's wait until we get a full information on that then and bring it back. Is that what I'm hearing from council then? Okay. Okay. We're on to the council at large vacancy. Jackie, do you wanna, I'm not sure how we're gonna do this, so.
Yeah, similar to the same way that we did the mayor appointment. We have the 4 people here to do interviews and then vote on it until we get to a majority.
And is,
Derek
We
Martin
have-
is online. On Zoom.
is he on, it's on, Eric Martin's on,
Yes.
okay. So why don't we open up this and allow those people to go down and the other candidates to go into the break room there. And then we'll call you in one at a time as, you know.
So just for clarity, if it doesn't pass on the first vote, how's it working?
So what I envision, what we've talked about a little bit was that we do secret ballots. The top 2 would be ones that we would then bring forward. Unless there's some other process you want to follow.
What do you mean bring forward?
We'd then we'd move from all 4 to just 2. We'd narrow down to 2, the top 2 vote getters. And then we bring another vote to you folks. You did do another secret ballot. After we have some discussion of that, what you want to be at that point in time. We'll walk through these 4. Any discussion, we'll have that point of discussion. We'll take a secret ballot, the top 2 candidates, then we'll move forward and then we will, if you need further discussion, we'll further discuss those. Acceptable to everybody? Okay. All right, we have Eric Martins, I believe, via Zoom. So Eric, you're ready. Go ahead and introduce yourself and we'll get started here.
Good evening. I'm Eric Martins. My address is 706 North 14th Street, there in Indianola.
And why don't you give us some background and reasons why you're running for this position, Eric?
I've been in business management for most of my life. I ran for supervisor. I've just been interested in local government and would like to do what I can to help the city of Indianola as well as the residents move forward.
Looking at your resumes and things, Eric. Members, do you have any questions for Eric or is there anything else you'd like to hear from him?
Yeah, I thought we all had a question here.
Good.
Who wants to start? Josh, you go.
I'll start on that side if that works.
Me. Eric, can you describe a time in your career when you were faced with a large challenge financially, met resistance with your solutions or ideas for solving the problem? And how did you get consensus?
I would say lately the biggest would be the fire we had with the museum, working with our insurance company, as well as contractors. We're a 501c3, so we are on a limited budget. We only have so much insurance, so it's been quite the process to get everything put back together. We're still in the middle of that process. We've had some hiccups with some of the finished product that we're getting redone. Also, we with my management out at Loving Rest, we run into issues on a daily basis, whether it's transportation or employees or sorry, I don't have my notes with me. I apologize. I'm not there. Mexico for the last week and got caught up at the airport and I'm supposed to be back, but I'm not. So I apologize.
So with the museum fire, how did you work your way through the challenges that you faced?
We're still doing so. currently. We have hired a museum manager so that we have somebody basically on site and that can devote, you know, all the time needed, not only to meet contractors, but as far as ideas, fundraising, basically whatever we need to, whatever she needs to do to get the museum put back together. All of our board members are working board members, so we don't have the time to spend doing it. So we've hired a manager, and hopefully that will help push the project forward even quicker and get our doors open altogether.
Eric, I got a question here for you. Since deciding to apply, I'm sure you've been attending or watching the council meetings online and know we've had a few bumps in the road. How would your appointment help with the stability of the council, new city manager, and city staff?
Be honest with you, I'm not 100% sure. I haven't been on that side of the table. I feel I like to help people, and I feel that I can bring not only my voice but you know, voices of other people if residents are. I want to be someone that the residents feel comfortable they can talk to, come to, uh, and hopefully help find a solution for whatever issues they may be having. Uh, I know we have budget issues, and I know that it's going to be a rough road ahead. Uh, I'm a team player, and I like to think I get along with pretty much everybody. So, uh,
Thank you.
absolutely.
Eric, I have a question for you. With the seat being up in November, would you, at this time, if you were to be selected, run for reelection? Why or why not?
Yes, I absolutely would. I don't feel that there's that much time between now then and the election to get that much accomplished, or for people to get familiar with myself, my capabilities. So I would absolutely run again, and hope to stay in that seat.
Eric, this is Josh Rabe. This seat is for an at-large council seat, so you'd be representing more than just one ward. We don't all represent the whole city, but what are some of the different, you mentioned the Balloon Association, right? And the Balloon Museum is part of that. What other areas are you serving on any city boards currently, or other areas within the community?
Not for the city. I am on the Iowa Balloonist Association board, the museum board. I come to majority of the city council meetings when I can, and I also try to set in on the board of supervisors meetings as well. But as far as being on other boards, I am just the current president of the museum, and then just a board member for the Iowa Balloonist Association.
Hi, Eric. This is Christina. What do you see as some of the challenges in our community currently, and how might you approach addressing those?
I think our biggest challenge ahead of us is the budget, as well as growth. It's a double-edged sword. Both have to have a lot of attention given to them. We need to be able to grow, but we also need to be able to balance our budget. And as far as how would I approach them, I'm not 100% sure. Like I said, I haven't been on that side of the table. I know you guys have access to a lot more resources, staff. I would lean on those people that have expertise in those areas, and gain as much knowledge from each and every one of them as I could. As well as you guys. You guys have been doing this for a while and open to any and all advice all the time.
Eric, this is Steve Richardson. Council members spend a fair amount of time preparing for council meetings, attending council meetings the last few weeks. So we've been in a lot of meetings in the evenings. How do you see your role currently, what you're doing, fitting in with all of that and all of the community events that folks seem to want us to participate in?
Absolutely. That's a great question. With my role as the facility manager at Loving Rest, I am fairly flexible with timing. Museum board meeting, or the museum board meets once a month. As far as the Iowa Blueness Association, it's not as a important role. I would, if need be, step away from that. Time needed for the city of Indianola.
Anybody have any other questions? I think he was done there.
We can only answer the one, or I think we can only ask the one. Right?
Yeah, okay. Eric, you have any final comments you'd like to make?
I appreciate your time. I apologize. It's the 2 times this year that I planned to be out of town had happened to be when this meeting and the mayor one had taken place. Fortunately, I was able to get on the Zoom tonight. I think my playing board's in about 7 minutes, but I really appreciate you guys taking the time, and I'm willing to do whatever I can to help the city of Indianola and the residents that live here.
Thank you, Eric. We appreciate you applying for this position, and we'll know here hopefully this evening what the decision is. So thank you again.
No, thank you guys. Have a great evening.
You too.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay. Our next candidate up then.
What do you want?
Whoever wants to come in is fine.
Okay.
Rock, paper, scissors. I think I'm.
Do you have me muted, Jackie?
Need a game of rock, paper, scissors. Jason, we're gonna have you give an opening statement and some opportunities, and then we'll ask each person will have one question to ask you, and then you'll have some closing comments. So
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My name is Jason Ettenmeyer. I live at 1202 East Franklin Avenue with my lovely wife, Lisa, and my 2 daughters, Claire, who's a sophomore here in school, and Kayla, who's a junior. Lived here about 7.5 years, came here to be a part of the community, and currently am employed by the City of Des Moines Engineering Department. Really love this community, and when the opportunity arose, it felt like the time was right. It felt like the job that's ahead for this council here in the coming months is a daunting one, and I felt compelled to be a part of this process, and that's why I stand before you here this evening, and I look forward to your questions that you have for me.
okay. There we go first.
I'll kick it off.
All right.
Jason, so since deciding to apply, I'm sure you've been attending or watching the council meetings online and know that we've had a few bumps in the road. How would your appointment help with the stability of the council, new city manager, and city staff?
Well, to be honest with you, Councilmember Dalby, I've been watching the council meetings pretty much for the last 7 years, whether attendance when I was an employee or pretty much monthly. I watch them watch both the city of Des Moines since I'm employed there and also here since I'm a citizen here. So just because I've applied doesn't mean I've started. I've been a part of this all along. But obviously, there's some changes coming up. I mean, obviously, you've got some staffing issues that need to occur with the city manager. It was great to meet those candidates the other evening. And that's going to come. We all know what's going on in the budget. If we don't know what's going on with the budget process, either now for this year or let's face it, let's look ahead 2, 3, 5 years out. If the legislature stays where it stays with us and such like that, the process starts today to start thinking ahead for those years. Should have started yesterday, truthfully. So, and I think you guys have done a great job of starting that process and thinking to those points of looking ahead at what the budget entails. You know, you look there, I've got some notes here. Obviously, that budget's going to limit what you can do for economic development. That budget's going to limit what you can do for your facilities that you're currently looking at revitalizing or reconstructing or creating for new. That's going to look at what you're going to do for the future of programs that are in place and expanding programs that are out there and such like that. I think with my experiences of almost 2 decades of being a municipal employee and going through municipal budgeting process, I think I bring a lot of strengths to that process of understanding what it takes to realize what the value of services are and what a municipal budget looks like in comparison to a private sector budget. And I think I can utilize that. Also, prior to being on a management level and the municipal level, I've got 12 years roughly ahead of that of just being management in the private sector as well. So I just think that what you guys do as the politicians running and making those critical decisions, I think that I would bring a different voice, having sat out here as a staff member, moving up into that position that you currently don't have in that position on your council.
Thank you.
Mr. Dolly.
So my question kind of piggybacks off of his. You know, you kind of already answered a lot of it, but is what do you see as some challenges in our community and how would you approach addressing those challenges?
I think obviously Councilmember Beach, thank you for that question. I think obviously some of the challenges in our community obviously are working in the city of Des Moines. I'll just speak out from it from the start. Being an employee of the city of Des Moines, I'm the only employee in my department that lives in Indianola. Everybody else is West Des Moines, Pleasant Hill, Altoona, Ankeny that work for me. And they see us being that little community way south of Des Moines. And what we heard this evening in that presentation, we're not. We are here right now. We're a part of the Des Moines Metro. We are a major player. We're a major financial impact player in the Des Moines Metro area. And obviously, based on resolutions that have been passed here and in prior months, we're going to continue to be a player in that. People want to be in Indianola. People want to develop here. People want to grow here. People want their families here. People want to call Indianola home. And I think part of that challenge is that as a council and as staff and as the community as a whole, we need to find our identity on how we're going to grow. And I think part of that process is a controlled, intelligent growth. And I think what we need to do, and I think the council is good, and I think that's where I'm going to add an asset if I'm asked to come aboard, is I think you need to look at what that controlled, intelligent growth is going to look like, but not look for right now. Look what 5 years from now is going to do. I'm going to pick on a community to the north because we always joke about it at my work, Ankeny. How many people love to travel with the traffic in Ankeny when they go up there to go shopping? Do we want to become that? We need to, with the traffic studies that we've been doing in Indianola and everything like that, we're thinking ahead so we don't become a traffic nightmare into the future. We're thinking ahead, talking about where are we going to strategically put traffic signals? How are we going to develop roads and systems to get people in and out of here so we don't become a traffic nightmare and everything like that. You know, I joke with my friends that, yeah, we're so far down that it takes me, 20 minutes to get to work. And it's just, that's so far to go, and everything like that. And then I've got employees who live half the distance in West Des Moines. It takes them 35 minutes to get into the office in the morning. And so I'm like, I'll take my little town so far south of the metro, but at the same token, we hear the presentations that this little town is a major impact. And I think that's where we need to figure out what that impact is going to look like here coming into the near future.
Next, can you describe a time in your career when you were faced with a large challenge financially and met resistance with your solutions or ideas for solving the problem? And how did you come to a consensus?
Certainly can. It's a very easy one. There was a point early in my career where we had to, our department heads were tasked in the community, and I won't name the community, but we were asked in that community that we had to figure out how we were going to do a 10% across the board budget cut within our department, period, point blank. On top of that, we also had to do it from this point, roughly March. We had to also cut that budget between March and July 1. So not only do we have to look forward, but we also had to take 10% out of what was left of the fiscal year. Knowing full good and well at that point in time, our council had also asked us as the senior professional management employees, the department directors, knowing full good and well that we were going to take a 3% cut in pay at the new fiscal year. Because our employees were union employees and they were protected by a contract, they were receiving a raise. But those of us who were making the decisions, we had to take a cut in pay coming July 1st. And that was really tough. That really affected morale. So one of the things that came together, and I see, having been a part of some of these department directors that are sitting here behind me and knowing them for years and such like that. Your department directors, they're a team, and it's we're in any city, and they will rally and they will, if they're challenged by this council or by their city manager to come up with solutions on budget shortfalls or program shortages or how to recreate what is going to occur within the community, they will come together and they will do it. Because the reason they sit where they are and they do the job that they do is because they love more than this council will ever understand, and they care more than they ever understand, and they're willing to sacrifice and make those difficult decisions. And I know that because of what I went through with the group of department heads that I did through in that other community. And it wasn't fun. There was nothing fun about it, but we got through it. It was a rough year. I guess you call it trauma bonding. Is that the word for it? With us department heads trauma bonded through that process. And that's where it was. And we became stronger for it. We became better for it. And I think quite honestly, it allowed us to communicate better with our council. So that if there was anything to come out of that, rather than having a animosity towards the council for putting us in that position, we actually learned how we needed to communicate and educate. So we did learn something from it. And I think that allowed us to teach our council members how we could go ahead and explain our services and what our people do, because I think there was a misunderstanding.
You go first or go for it? With this seat being up in November, as of right now, if you were chosen, would you run for re-election in November? Why or why not?
It's funny you'd ask that because I've got a strong group of peers and mentors that when I came to this decision, I first off started prayerfully considering my decision whether to run. And then I got all my peers and mentors together on a group chat on my text messaging there. And I said, hey, call me crazy, but, and once it come out there, and I think the third comment back was, I'll start your reelection campaign tomorrow. And once we started breaking it down and started chit chatting back and forth between a couple of my peers there and such like that, they came back with to get to your answer. They came back with the reasoning that one thing about Jason, he doesn't do anything part-time and short-term. That the reason I'm standing here before you today is because what is going on the fiscal level within legislature and such like that, it's not a 2025, 2026 fiscal year decision. It's a long term. And quite honestly, if I was appointed today, yes, I would be looking at an election campaign come November. Same reason you guys are sitting here. Even though there's a need today, there's a greater need for continuity among this council. There's a greater need for a partnership and teamwork, a team that's structurally sound and working together to get that cohesiveness and to keep working forward into the future and such. So yes, if I was appointed today, if you'd asked me 3 months ago, I'd be like, you're crazy, Steve. But no, as I sit here today and as I've talked through with my family and with my group of friends that I consider very dearly as my peers and my colleagues and such, yes, I've come to that conclusion that this is not till January 1 or December 31st. This is something that I'm going to commit to, that I'm sure going to give it a heck of a run anyways. How's that? If the voters want me, they want me. And if they don't, here we are today.
Jason, you've worked here, lived here, worked, formerly, live currently. This is for an at-large council seat. What organizations, city boards, or what are you involved in around town here?
Quite honestly, Josh, I'll be honest with you. I'm involved with my children. If you want to see me out and about in the community, it involves anything involved with the Indianola schools. I've got a daughter that swims, so it was great to hear Kurt up here speaking about that. I've got a daughter that swims. They've swam it out at when it was the YMCA. They've also swam club level out there. Both daughters swam club level and at the Y. Been involved throughout that process out there. Swim official when I first came into the community. And then now since Claire's moved on into high school, I'm just a spectator involved in that, a loving parent. Kayla is involved in cross country. She's involved in track. Both girls are involved in FFA. And so we stay busy chasing the girls out through the community. With me residing up into, or with me working up into Des Moines, it's difficult for me to involve in a lot of the civic organizations, to be honest with you in that regard. The other thing, I don't attend church in Indianola, and people are going to be, you don't even go to church in the community you live at. And there's a very simple reason. I'll explain to you why I do not attend church in the community I live in. When I worked in communities where I had to have residency requirements, or where I was an employee at, my wife and I made the decision many years ago that I would not attend church in the community that I was employed in. And we found a church that we really love up in Altoona, and we take part of that church up there. And we're there because then it allows us to separate our work from our church life. Because the people that go to our church, one, maybe don't even know what I do, or let alone they're less likely to ask me questions about the pothole in front of their house, or what's going on with the road project there, or what can you tell me about my neighbor's nuisance property, or how do I get a hold of the police chief, or can you pass a message over to the city manager, or something like that. So we like to keep that anonymity within our religion life there. So to be honest with you, Josh, my limits right now, because of where we're at, is involved to the public school system, truthfully, because those girls, but they're going to be gone soon. And I realize that's coming faster than I want to admit, but for some reason, I think I got old all of a sudden if my girls are at that point. But we love this school system. We're truly blessed to be in such a community that's got such a great school system. Plus, with the addition of Simpson here in the community, what a cool town we live in, and it's just awesome to be soaked up and be a part of that. We've been a sponsor out at the balloons and such like that, and we just love this community.
Jason, this will be the last question. I think everybody's asked one already. Council members spend a lot of time preparing for meetings. We get a lot of information. I think one packet was like 256 pages long or something along that line. We attend a lot of meetings, especially the last few months. We've been attending a lot of meetings, a lot of time, and taking part in community events. Oftentimes residents expect us to take part in certain community events too. So how do you see yourself? It kind of goes along with what question you just answered, but how do you see yourself handling these tasks in addition to your day job and your families?
Well, to answer your question, I started off originally, not only do I read the City of Des Moines Council packet pretty much, not verbatim, but I know what's in the council packet on every meeting that goes on there. I also read the council packet for the City of Indianola on a meeting. So that would be nothing new currently from what I'm currently doing and changing there. I don't see it any different there. As far as attending the meetings, I'm like I said, I don't come and sit here in the meetings. I watch them at home, and I take part of those from afar. So it'd be no different than moving into the seat here in the dais versus sitting and watching them on the computer at home and there and such like that. As far as involvement in the community, I don't see an issue with that, Mr. Mayor. I really don't. I did, if there was, you talked about all the committees and such like that and stuff like that, that where people were appointed. Any of those that would occur like during the daytime hours, I've already laid the groundwork with my current employer as far as what the requirements are for that type of thing, that there's a system, and we all know what's going on in Polk County with their supervisors and keeping their day jobs and stuff like that. I didn't even want that to become an issue, if that ever came to be a problem. So I've sat down with my boss and his boss as well, and had that conversation of what would this look like? Because I understand the committees that you folks sit on. And now, whether or not I could be there tomorrow at 11 o'clock for you to read the declaration with Michelle, that's a different issue. Well, that may not happen every time, but those types of issues there. But I view it as these meetings are outside of my normal working hours, and I don't see any problem with the time dedication and such like that. I really truly don't. I think I think it wouldn't be a constraint to my time. Like I said, I'm currently reading the packet now when it comes out and reading through all the minutes and after the fact and such like that. So I don't see that being an issue.
Thank you. Jeff, so a few moments for closing comments. So if there's something you'd like to add, we'd certainly want to hear it.
Like I said, when I go and when I think about why I ran and what I'm looking here to do, is I want you all to think about, if I could ask you to all think about, is I want to be a different voice. I want to be somebody that you don't have on this council, somebody that has and currently is a municipal employee, somebody that's a different change. I don't have 30 years in this community. I don't. Well, I hope to have another 30 years in the community. That's pretty plain and simple. We love this community, want to be there and stuff like that. I will warn you, I'll be the voice that'll challenge you. If I've seen some of you others that challenge, sometimes it's good to have somebody that thinks a little differently. And I think my mother summed it best. Ever since I came out breech, I've always been that one that thinks a little bit differently from the start. I've always been a pain from the start, but I mean that in all respect, that I like the challenge of being creative and finding those solutions. And I think that this council, and with what you have for management staff going to be coming in here and stuff like that, there's some challenges that are going to take some creativity. And I think that what I bring is that different voice, that different perspective of all those years of sitting on this side of the staff side of things that I can bring to this team, that I think that'll be I think I can bring something fresh and different to you guys' team, and hopefully you guys feel the same. Again, I love Indianola, right, wrong, or indifferent, whether I'm the choice for you folks here this evening. Still love this community and still going to be a part of this community and still going to be listening and watching to what you're doing. And I still going to be thinking about the decisions you guys have to make, because it's going to be tough. There's some tough decisions yet to come. So thank you for your time. I know the other two are back there chit chatting about everything. So it was a mean game of rock, paper, scissors to see who got to come first. So I'll go tell them that it was there. So
Thank you. Yeah, we'll get you back over there and we'll let you know here in a few minutes.
Thank you.
You want to make sure you get,
Thank you.
officer, you're gonna make sure the door's open there so they can get the next, and you'll get the next member. Ed, we'll give you a few minutes. Thank you for applying. We certainly appreciate that. We'll give you a few minutes to give an opening statement. There'll be questions from each one of us up here. And then you'll have an opportunity for a closing statement.
Well, first of all, thank you for allowing me this opportunity to come before you. As you may have seen in my packet, I'm a firm believer of what others see and speak about you is very much who you are. And one of the things that I included in that was the people that knew me and knew what my background was and how I made a contribution. I know that these are very stressful times as it relates to the budget. And as others, Doug Fulton and others know, my time spent on council before, that was a huge challenge at the time. And I believe that I can come to the council and bring some continuity and have some people work together in lockstep to cover some of the tasks that are ahead. When I took my oath of office prior, 63 cents of every $1 was pre-spent. And I and the entire council worked together and brought that down to 38. Doug will remember a guy by the name of Jeff Lucas, pool manager. And one of the examples that we did is he asked for council's help, and we worked directly with him and the Veterans Administration. And in 2014, the pool was losing $114,732. They had just been losing it all the time and said, you know, we don't know how we change this. And I was so very proud of Jeff and very proud of the mayor and the council to have changed that. And it went from 2014, and in 2017, it showed a profit of $68,239. I included in there an referral from Eric Hansen, that was city manager in my time in that role, on how I can work with my peers and how we can set goals and accomplish. So that would be my intro on being here and being able to be a part of the team, a spoke in a wheel.
Thank you. Who wants to go first?
I might as well keep the same order here, I guess. So, Mr. Ross, since deciding to apply, I'm sure you've been attending. I've seen you in attendance here. And you know, we've had a few bumps in the road over the last several months. How would your appointment help with the stability of the council, the new city manager, and the city staff?
I am an individual that can be easily approached. And I think that ease of being able to be approached allows council folks to interact. I have such belief that it takes all of us to accomplish the task. And to summarize, Ron, I know I have the skills and talents of what my personality is to be able to sit down with anybody, maybe not agree, but let's talk through it on what you see as a vision and what I might see as a vision, and how can we find middle ground? Because you never accomplish if you all decide that you're going to stay on one side of the street or the other. Hope that answered your question.
So my question for you, Brad, would be, what do you see as some of the challenges in our community, and how would you approach addressing those?
The one that is heavy on your shoulders is the budget. And I'm not sharing anything that you don't already know. I believe in that. You've got to sit down and look at it like a pie and take a slice at a time and prioritize of those things that you want to accomplish and the community is asking you to fulfill, that you have a pecking order and you check them off. I'm not sure that you can take all of your wishes. That's kind of like you give your kid a Christmas catalog. Well, they're going to pick everything on every page. I just believe, Councilman, that you have to sit down and as a group, prioritize, list them out, and then start putting some timelines and how you'll get to the end result.
I'll go next since. Can you describe a time in your career when you were faced with a large challenge financially and met resistance with your solution or idea for solving the problem? And how did you get consensus?
Maybe let's talk about a startup business that my wife and I built from ground up in regards to Buggy Bath Car Wash. And she is a very supportive spouse. But if this had not have worked, it would be detrimental to our family's financial position. And I took the time and shared time with her so that we knew the traffic count of where it was going to be. We spent time with other successful car wash owners to know how many cars that you needed to have on a daily basis to be profitable. And like I said, I'm very happy to have built that from the ground up and successfully run it for several years before folks approached me to buy it.
Brad, with this seat being up in November, if you were chosen for this seat, would you run for re-election in November? Why or why not?
Yes, I would run for re-election. I believe that this task is going to take time. When you look at what you have to chew through, is going to take time. I have a successful clean bill of health. I had heart surgery, believe it or not. Some people didn't think I'd be standing here today, but I had heart surgery at 9:30 Friday morning. I have a strong drive. I have a good health. And I believe that I am in a position to make a contribution. And yes, I would run for re-election.
Perfect. Brad, so you've been involved in the past on city council. Coming back up for this is an at-large role. What are some city boards or other local organizations that you're serving on?
That I serve within the community. I serve on the Elks Club, serve on the Masonic Lodge. I serve and I'm active with the church on activities within those organizations.
Well, Brad, you know, as a former council member, that there's a fair amount of time commitment that council requires in the sense of getting packets and information, and they seem to have gotten longer since either you or I was on the council the first time around. And so part of this is about preparing for those meetings, attending meetings and taking part in community events that our residents require. How do you see yourself handling those in addition to what you've got going on day to day?
My day-to-day activities, I'll stay involved with our third generation family farm. But if invited to join your group, then I will drop my time at Medicap. I've still enjoyed that. When I retired from Cementech, Mike Onimus and Jack Beam came to me and asked me to help them there. My clean record and background with narcotic drugs and controlled substances. And if invited to join you folks, then I'm going to take that time that is being used there and devote it over.
Thank you. So last comments and final comments and go from there.
My final comments, as I opened with, I think others can speak about oneself far greater than they can speak about themselves, because nobody likes to talk about the rough edges. So I would let the support of my peers that I included as a referral, I would let the time that I have spent with all of you at some fashion or form, the time that Councilman Rabe and I spent together on the phone. I think Councilman Dalby can respond to our time when we had breakfast at Krause's and the response that I had there of people. Councilman Armstrong and the time that I've been around there, Councilman Beach. So I would hope that you would see me as an individual that could be approached and would desire to be approached so that we could get to the next objective and the next objective.
thank you again for your time.
I appreciate you.
Applying, and we'll put you back in the room there. We got one more to go, so.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bob, thanks for applying. We appreciate your opportunity tonight. You'll have a chance for an opening statement. Each member of the group up here will have a question for you to answer, and then you'll have some closing statements.
Hey, well, first of all, I just want to thank you all for what you do. I've talked to some of you, and I know that you don't hear that very much. You usually get the calls questioning things that you do or decisions you make. And so as someone who sat in a similar position on a board, I know what that's like. And so I just want to say thank you. And I want to thank you for the opportunity to do this, because when I knew the position might come open, I wasn't quite sure how the process worked. And I think by having this kind of personal interaction, it lets you all get to know all of the people that are interested, as well as them see how things work and know all of you. So I want to thank you for that. And with that, I'll just take your questions. I think we're probably better off doing that, because what I feel about this community, I hope you picked up if you saw the narrative that we all had the opportunity to write. So you probably got a sense of what this community means to me through that, but I'll be just happy to answer your questions.
I'll go first, Bob.
Okay.
So since applying, since deciding to apply, I'm sure you've been attending and you've been watching the council meetings online.
Mhm.
And you know, we've had a few bumps in the road. How would your appointment help with the stability of the council, new city manager, and the city staff?
I think probably because of my experience of working on, if you read my materials, I talked about being on the president's cabinet or the president's council. And it was a very similar sized group. They'd range from about 6 to 9 people. And we dealt with everything, from things that didn't seem like a big deal, like parking policies. We had to deal with that a lot on a campus, it seemed like, to budgets. You had to represent everything you did to the external constituencies, your alumni, the people in this community of Indianola and elsewhere, but then also the students. And a lot of times the students and faculty and their interests were different than what the community or your alumni interests might be. And so you had to balance all those. And I think that experience, based on, I've been coming to these meetings or watching them online for a long time now, I think that experience would help me work alongside of each of you in solving some of those issues. And I've got experience then passing that information on to various constituents through public forums or one-on-one meetings and things like that. So I think that experience that I've had doing that for 30 years would serve you and the city well, hopefully. And plus I have a strong interest in giving back. I retired about 2 years ago now. And I had somebody give me the advice when I was about to retire to take a year of doing nothing and just enjoying a new schedule, a new pace. And over that time, they said, you'll find things that you're really passionate about or you're interested in. And one of those has always been this community. That's why when we retired, we opted to stay here. And we moved, I think, about 100 yards. I might have told one or two of you when we talked. We moved about 100 yards from our home into a townhome. So we had less to take care of and more time to enjoy the other things we wanted to do. So, yeah, I feel strongly about this community. And now I'm at that point in my life where I think I have the time to give back.
Thank you.
I'll go next. Can you describe a time in your career when you were faced with a large challenge financially and met resistance with your solutions, ideas for solving the problem, and how did you get consensus?
Good question. Well, a number of years ago, and they have continued, just like all small colleges, we were confronted with some pretty severe financial challenges at the college. And we had to make decisions on whether you were doing without something to fund something over here or vice versa. And so it was pretty good, healthy discussion, much like I'm sure you all have around here with some of the budget issues. But we had to decide whether we were going to cut certain departments and staff, or whether we were going to cut retirement, or whether we were going to cut a couple building projects we had on the boards. And looking around, I'm guessing that most of you probably lived here at the time when we were having some of these discussions. Anyway, after, I don't know how many meetings, I'd say 3 or 4 meetings of going over the budget, and we had a budget committee also on campus. Another cabinet member and myself suggested that we engage the entire campus community in that process. So we appointed a couple students to that committee as well. But then we threw out to the entire campus, all the employees, give us your input. Deb might have been there actually when we did this. I don't remember. But we asked them to give us their input on projects that could either make money and generate revenue for the budget, or what should we cut and why, and tell us what it would save the college. And we offered financial incentives. We gave, I think, 3 prizes, perhaps, different level of cash awards, so that we would incentivize some of that activity. And we were shocked at some of the responses that we got. Not shocked in a bad way, just shocked in the sheer number and what some of them were for us. And so I think by reaching out and communicating, one, where we were, and we're very transparent about it, was a good thing. But 2, to engage everybody, because there's nothing like a crisis to bring everybody together. And we found that that really did that in that case. And we actually implemented a few of those suggestions, if you will, or ideas from the campus community. And I think it helped in a number of ways. It helped us address some of the budget issues, didn't solve all of them. There wasn't a silver bullet. 2, it helped with morale, albeit I would tell you that it was short-lived. It did help with morale and give us a little bump that we felt was important. And I think more than anything, it also kind of brought together the president's cabinet, because at that time, I felt like there were some silos maybe within those areas. But again, it broke them down, because people realized we're all in this together and we got to do what's right for these people who are presenting all these ideas. And so we did that. And like I said, it turned out pretty well in a number of ways. That answer it?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bob, what do you see as some of the challenges in our community, and how would you approach addressing those issues?
Well, obviously, whether it's community or for the council to deal with on behalf of the community, both, whatever, take it wherever I want.
Yep.
Well, I tell you, budget obviously and finances, but that's pretty obvious to everybody. So I think that the challenges in lack of those resources, you've got a lot of building projects that are being considered, and how are those going to be addressed? You've got some issues, obviously, with the constraints from Des Moines and the state legislature coming down that kind of restricts some of the activity that you might otherwise be able to take on to solve budget issues. And so I think that one of the challenges obviously is the budget and how are you going to address those buildings. Another is education. I've learned a lot over the last several months attending or watching these meetings that otherwise I would have referred to myself as probably not a real informed citizen. I was in touch enough to know what was going on and things that were being considered, but I think educating the community on why decisions are made and where things stand could go a long ways. And I think it'd be a lot like what I referred to earlier when at the college we engaged everybody in the process. I think I heard, or I know I've heard actually, Steve and Doug talk about the staff and how great they are and how helpful they've been in addressing some of these budget issues. And I think in being able to use the staff also as advocates to share that message widely would be a good thing, because when you get in tough times, the more that people understand the difficulties you're facing, they might be a little more compassionate about the decisions that are made. And so I think between addressing the building situation and prioritizing those things, and then being able to communicate that and educate people around this community would be pretty critical.
Bob, with this seat being up in November, if you were chosen, would you run for reelection in the fall? Why or why not?
Well, yes, is the answer. And I wouldn't be standing here right now if I wasn't interested. I think I told you I have some real strong feelings about this community, and the opportunity to have a trial period, a period where you actually get to learn, and I would learn from all of you, I'm sure, a great deal about process, communication, some of the technical sides of things of what you do. I think it'd be a sad statement if someone got up here and said, no, I just want to do this for 7 or 8 months and then waste, if you will, that time of an experience of sitting up there, not to want to put it to good use for the community. So, yeah, absolutely, I would.
Bob, thank you. You kind of answered some of this earlier and taking a year off with your retirement, wanting to get back in, but this seat is an at-large seat, so you're representing the whole city. What are some of the current organizations locally or city boards that you're involved in?
Okay. First and foremost, I've been involved I've been back here 18 years, so I've been involved for 18 years in our local church and work on a couple different committees there that are things that are of interest to me and that I've been fortunate and been invited to be a part of. For the last 15 months, 14 months, I guess it is maybe, we've delivered meals for Meals on Wheels. We do that every Friday, and then we volunteer to do that on other days when they need help. We're involved with the Helping Hand on Thursdays. We go in and work at the food pantry. And I would have to say that those two experiences, Helping Hand and Meals on Wheels, are another reason I'm interested in being involved in this, because I think there are a lot of people that don't understand the needs of this community. There are a lot of needs that people don't often see. And all you have to do is volunteer for one of those organizations for a couple of days, and you'll find out real quick that we have a lot of needs in this community. And so those are a couple of things I'm involved with. I also volunteer at the college. I've done this ever since we've been back to, and it's a way for me to stay in touch, if you will, with the athletic department. A million years ago, I was involved there as a student athlete. And so now I grill hamburgers for all the home football games and enjoy doing that. I go to a breakfast club that's hosted once a month. Most months I'm there, not all months, but most months I'm there, that's hosted by People's Bank. And yeah, then I'm just out in the community a lot. And that's because of the job that I did when I was working.
Council, you may know this and maybe you don't, spends a lot of hours preparing. I think one of our council packets was 200 and some pages long, 250 or something like that. It takes a lot of reading, a lot of understanding, and a fair amount of learning curve. Prepare for meetings, attending meetings. As you all know, we've probably been, I can't tell you how many hours we've been in meetings this last month and a half or so. And that's a little unusual, but we do. And then there's things residents kind of want you to be at as well. And so how do you see yourself handling those kinds of things in light of the things you volunteer for and everything else that goes on in your life?
Well, if I were fortunate enough to sit at the table with all of you, that's a commitment and one that I would uphold. The schedule and everything else is what I did for a living. My position as a vice president for advancement was very public. I attended things day and night on weekends. And the benefit of that is, I'm sure, what the benefit you all find is that you get to know people. And so when there are things that you need to communicate, people feel like they know you or you're out there. So whether it's attending ribbon cutting events, whether it's the 50125 event that you spoke of earlier. We're a sponsor at the Balloon Classic. My wife and I do that because we attended it every year for the college when I was working there. And we also feel strongly about that. It's a great thing for this community. And so when we retired, we elected then to buy sponsorships on our own so that we could still be involved with that. So as far as being engaged and active in the community, that wouldn't be a problem. As far as the amount of reading, the semester that I guess I would say had the good fortune of being the interim president. It was a great experience, although it was right when COVID hit. So it was an interesting time. I got probably 125 to 150 emails a day. And I'm a little bit maybe too tied up in all of that, I just couldn't sleep at night if I didn't respond to everybody if they needed something. And I would be that way with this too. If anybody calls, they send me an email or something, they'd get a prompt response. Because I expect that when I reach out to someone.
Thank you. Final comments from you and anything else you'd like to say?
No, other than that, I appreciate the opportunity to work alongside all of you, but I know there are some very good candidates who are interested, and so I understand that. No matter what happens here in the next little bit, I'm still going to be proud of this community, want to be involved with this community. So if I'm not fortunate enough to sit there with you, I hope you'll realize that I'm someone, just like you heard Mr. Lickus say earlier, reach out to him. I hope you would do that with me because I'd be more than happy to be involved somehow.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You can see there's water in that refrigerator in case any of them want some water too. Thank you. Thank you, Bob.
Thank you.
Okay, so process we'll have here is Jackie's gonna hand out some slips here. Pass them around, I guess. We'll need 4 votes to confirm somebody, but we'll take that we decide top 2. Is that right? Is that what we think?
That's what the.
Is that what you want to do? Top 2, or what do you want to do? Let's write your top 2 candidates on there and we'll go from there.
Mr. Lane and Mr. Martins had the top 2 votes with 4 apiece.
We will need to make a decision then as to between those 2.
Go down.
Yeah, you're on 1.
Mr. Lane had 2 and Mr. Martins had.
Okay. So, you get 4. Suggestions, what you wanna do here?
We take a recess and break into some small groups to have a discussion, so we're not,
I think that's
I
probably
don't think it'd
good.
be fair to,
Yeah.
or like to have discussion public at that time.
Doug, what's your thought?
I think they can do that.
We'll take a 10-minute recess. And we'll convene at 8:10.
To our rooms now, or?
Not in groups of 4. Yeah, not in groups of 4.
Yeah, you probably need some.
Got more paper?
We've got it.
Got it?
Yeah, we're starting the paper train again.
It was all for. Think. Okay, then list your top candidate, please.
That's what the heat is.
Stop it.
They can't go out on. the street like that. They got everything delivered.
There's no change.
No change? Okay. Or this, go to another.
Got, council's got 60 days to make the appointment.
That's up and when.
We'll go to a special election.
Well, I guess we're gonna take another 10-minute recess, so.
They gave 18 though. We don't have another meeting.
Talk further. Yeah, folks.
At this point, if we're, it's our only other option.
Maybe switch around with different people and have a conversation. Another 10 minutes, and then if we can't make a decision then we'll have to decide what we're gonna do.
Yeah, you bet.
Yeah, then they know how to.
Signed today. Contract, it says it's an automatic. Wherever you. Possibly says three.
Okay, we're back in session then, so we're gonna take another ballot and we're gonna take another ballot after that. We're looking at a decision.
We're gonna take another ballot and then another ballot?
If we don't get a decision, 4 votes this time, we'll take another ballot.
We do not have. We don't have 4.
Has anything changed? Are we still?
Yep.
with-
No, Mr. Lane has 3 and Mr. Martins has 3.
3-2 now, the other direction. Take one more ballot. If you can't get it this time, and let's, we'll go till next Monday night. Council meeting Monday night.
It's still 3-2.
Okay. So next Monday night at 6 o'clock, you want to go ahead and get Bob and bring him in, please? Next Monday night at 6 o'clock, we will have an opportunity again to go through this process. We'll put on the ballot. What do we need to do here, Bob or Doug, with the item here, just to?
Table it to
Until next Monday night. Okay, need a motion to table until next Monday night?
So moved.
Second.
Clerk call the roll.
Councilmember Armstrong,
Aye.
Aye.
Sones. Aye. Wade.
Aye.
Dalby.
Aye.
Bob, Eric and you are tied in the voting, and so we're gonna go next Monday night at 6 o'clock. Another opportunity. You'll both have an opportunity to speak in front of the group again and take additional questions, and then we'll see if we can make it work. So, okay,
Great.
thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Moving on, we have a new business. We have the Summercrest Hills North. We are a resolution approving the preliminary plat for the Summercrest Hills. And Bill, are you doing this or is this? Okay.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. So while there's 3 action items, I'll be presenting about all 3 of them as part of one presentation. They all go together. The owner and applicant in this case is IDG3 LLC, represented by Monty Applegate with Snyder and Associates. And they're requesting approval of a preliminary plat, final plat, and a site plan for commercial development located east of North Jefferson Way and north of East Trail Ridge Drive. The property in question contains about just over 40 acres in area. That area outlined in yellow is the preliminary plat as a whole. And then what's outlined in red is the site plan that's under consideration tonight. The property was recently zoned from C2 general commercial to plan unit development. That PUD had its third reading at your council meeting on March 24th. So it's fully rezoned to plan unit development for this particular project. So up on the screen there is the west half of the preliminary plat. So the preliminary plat identifies 10 lots for commercial development and then 1 lot for proposed multifamily residential unit in the future. The site plan is for an indoor athletic facility. I don't have the right thing, but it's. No, it's all right. That athletic facility is about 135 feet by 203 feet, 27,000 square feet in area, about 32 feet in height. The final plat identifies identifies 2 lots for development now and then 3 lots or 3 outlots for future development. Lot 1, which is the flag shaped lot. The reason it's a flag lot for this particular development is because Trail Ridge, Willowcrest 6th and 7th Streets aren't developed yet. So the only access back to the facility will be off of East Trail Ridge Avenue. Lot 1 will be about 3 acres in area and lot 2 will be about 1.5 acres. Lot 2 is for a proposed addition to that athletic facility. Street lots for Willowcrest 6th and 7th Street, while they're not shown on this particular final plat, they will be shown as street lots on future plats once the area starts to develop a little bit more. Those streets will be extended as part of a development agreement by 2028. The development agreement states that the city is responsible for the design and construction of Willowcrest and 7th, and the developer is responsible for the construction of 6th. And those construction drawings will be reviewed in the. This is the facility that's under consideration tonight. Access will be provided off of East Trail Ridge Avenue through that parking ingress egress easement back to that facility. 105 parking spaces are required. We utilize the 1 space per 4 seats at maximum capacity as that calculation. They're providing 114, including 5 accessible spaces. Everything on the site plan is conforming to our city ordinances. A short segment, and I didn't include it on this slide because it's only about 10 or 15 feet, but a segment of 10-foot trail will be constructed on the north side of Trail Ridge Avenue as part of as this lot develops. They're also showing a series of 5-foot internal sidewalks throughout the development to facilitate pedestrian connections once the area starts to develop. There's also a series of 10-foot trails and 5-foot sidewalks and also 8-foot trails that will interconnect from Jefferson, Willowcrest, and then kind of 6th and 7th Street. So those will be installed with a mixture of improvements and then as those lots begin to develop. The city engineer, and they can speak to this better than I can, but there's a 3-party agreement to do a traffic study in this area. If you have any questions on that, EP, Dave, and Monty could help answer those questions. The site will be serviced with public utilities. Those utilities exist already near Trail Ridge Avenue and will be extended to service the new athletic complex. Stormwater detention, can you go back to the preliminary plat slide? So there's on the top of this slide, there's a large rectangle that is currently used for stormwater detention. And then next to this facility is a smaller one that'll be utilized for stormwater detention as well. And those will work interconnectively to provide stormwater detention for a majority of this facility. There's also a lot on the far east side that will be used for future stormwater detention once that side of the plat develops. 15% of the project area is proposed to be or required to be open space, and they're providing 28.5%. A landscape buffer was provided as part of Quail Meadows Plat 5 So no additional buffering is needed at this time. So the landscape plan, you can go ahead. Akish. So here's a grading sheet that shows those stormwater detention basins. And keep going. So here's the landscaping plan. So what they're showing is in compliance with our subdivision ordinance and what was agreed upon with the planning development. Elevations were included as part of the review, and there's supposed to be constructed primarily of class 2 metal panels, class 1 brick veneer, and then fenestration or windows. These elevations are in compliance with our ordinance. And then that's about all I have. So the proposed preliminary plat, final plat, and site plan are all in general conformance with our ordinances. We recommend approval of the 3 projects, subject to remaining staff comments, and then a review of the legal documents for recording. Happy to take any questions. Also, Monty Applegate from Snyder's.
Anyone have any questions on the information that Bill has provided?
So will access be granted from the south there until Willow Crest is paved then? Correct. The facility will have a Trail Ridge Avenue address for the time being, as EMS needs an address. So that because it's Trail Ridge is the only street that will provide access into that area for now. Okay.
Comments? Questions? I need a motion, is that correct? Okay. Need a motion on item A in a second.
Moved.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? Let's call the roll, please.
Councilmember Armstrong.
Aye.
Beach.
Aye.
Stones.
Aye.
Wade. Bobby.
Aye.
Next one is a resolution approving the final plat for Summercrest Hills North Plat 1. Again, I need a motion and a second.
Second.
Any discussion?
Looks like a fun project.
It does.
We're bringing a whole lot of families into the communities on weekends at least, so. I know I talked to Justin Brown last week and they plan on start moving dirt this week, so. That was exciting. He thought maybe we could do some footage with a drone, so.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Any other comments? Or call the roll?
Councilmember Dalby.
Aye.
Armstrong.
Aye.
Beach.
Aye.
Stones.
Aye.
Wade.
Aye.
Next item is a resolution approving the site plan for Summercrest Hills North Athletic Facility Phase 1.
Moved.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any other comments? Clerk will call the roll.
Councilmember Rabe.
Aye.
Dalby.
Aye.
Armstrong.
Aye.
Beach.
Aye.
Stones.
Aye.
Motion's all carried.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Bill. Next item on the agenda is the vacant employment positions, discussion direction on filling vacant position in the water retention recovery facility. Thank you. Jared, do you want to address this?
Mayor, Council, Jared Keenan, wastewater superintendent. Pretty straightforward. We have a vacancy of a budgeted position. This year it's budgeted and next year it's also budgeted. I attached our facility plan that HRG put together when they designed our wastewater facility. That's just the staffing part of it. It says that we're supposed to have 8.5 staff members. Going forward, I'm gonna round that up to 9. We're a facility that really needs full-time positions. We can have a with our scheme. Another thing I want to point out is they give examples of 2 other facilities of like size on there. One being Marshalltown and one being Burlington. Something to note on there, those 2 facilities have significantly more staff at their facilities, but they don't take care of their collection system. We take care of our wastewater plant, our 7 lift stations, and our collection system. We kind of do everything. So even with that 9-person request, that's a lot lower than these like cities. This would give us 9 staff members, would give us the ability to run all of our equipment, all of our cleaning equipment, televising equipment, all of our service truck to do repairs, and have 2 staff members at the facility at all times.
You just recently lost one, is that correct?
Yes. Is it basically just backfilling that position then, Jared? Okay.
I just wanted to give some background just for future requests that I will have to get us up to that 9. And that 9 is including me.
So you currently have 6,
Mhm.
and so you were at 7?
Yes.
All right, just making sure I understand all the numbers here.
Mhm.
Any other questions or discussion?
Your request right now is to backfill the one position. You're just laying
Yeah,
out.
I'm
the
just
plan
kind
for
of laying the
future.
groundwork for when you see me again.
And it's already in next year's budget as well.
Council direction on this?
I would be in favor of refilling the position.
Backfill it.
Anybody opposed? Direction?
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you, Jared.
Discussion on the vacant positions at the Wellness Center. Heather?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. We have requested positions for lifeguard positions. They are replacement positions. We're actually losing a total of right around half of our guards. So we currently have 40. We'll be losing around 20. 11 of them are graduating and returning home. And then we do have shared guards that will be working between the campus and Parks and Rec. We do need to have at least in that range of 40 due to their availability and activities. When we hire guards have to go through a certification process. In order to be guards, they have to be certified. That process takes some time. We do some of the training. We actually do the trainings for the lifeguards on site, but it's required that we have to have at least 6 participants in that. They do online trainings first, and then they do in-house trainings over the course of a weekend. So it's time conducive, and there is a process. They have to apply for the position and then go through the certification process. When we put in the request, this was back in early March, this has gotten delayed. It is putting us a bit behind. Again, this is budgeted positions that are just replacing people that were going to be leaving. We kind of like what Jared was saying, we'll be coming back for more positions. At the time, we were requesting 3 because 3 had been in process when the decision was made to put the positions in for approval. And we already had 3 kind of in the hopper that we're going to be going through training. So we will be requesting more positions, but we can stick with the 3 that we have requested right now. But kind of wanted to educate that there'll be more needs. And I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Will you be able to have your training? You said you have to have 6. for
We have to have 6.
But you only-
So right now, at the time, there was 3. One has now already transferred over and will be working at the outdoor pool. So they'll be coming onto the city, but just not at the campus at this point in time. And then another one with Drew. So we'd like to just go ahead and continue with the 3 at this point, but there will be more. So yes, we need to have more guards, and there will need to be 6 in order to host the training.
Are these full-time positions?
We only have 1 full-time guard.
Questions, further discussion?
In favor of backfilling the lifeguards positions?
Any opposition, let me put it that way. None. So, I'd like her go.
Super, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Fire department, you get next. Last but not least, right?
Mayor and council, thanks for having me for your consideration. I got a couple items here. The first one has to deal with the filling of part-time positions in the fire department. This is a position that we've had perpetually posted. Essentially, it's an ALS position, so hiring for a paramedic since the COVID-19 crisis. And I'm sure everybody's sick of hearing about it, but we are still dealing with some of the delayed impacts of it. what occurred then is a lot of the schools had shut down. There was a backlog of, well, first of all, people that were attending needed to complete their education. And then in the healthcare field, they did notice a downturn in people that were interested in that occupation. And because of that, for some time perpetually, we had posted the paramedic position, and it just required us going out and trying to recruit constantly to try to get those paramedics in here. Currently, the city budget's for 6,570 hours of part-time coverage, and that's from 8 a.m. until 5 p.m. at night. I have presented the council with information in early budget studies to show them that where there's quite a deficit from 5 p.m. until 9 p.m. that we'd eventually like to go to 12-hour shifts that we have coverage. There is some income loss to that. Essentially what we've looked at right now in those studies is that it would probably cost around $88,000 to increase those coverage hours. If we got 100% reimbursement, you get $90,000 based on the billing rate that we're potentially losing there. But on our collection history, we're about 60-some percent, 61%. So we wouldn't cover enough to break even on those hours. So would you essentially have to establish that need, something that we're continuing to work on. However, with the March 3rd discussion, we did have to pull the advertising for the paramedic position. We did still have a couple recruiting events that we did try to reach out to people that were in school. Unfortunately, there's no place for them to go apply at this point in time. I'll give you just kind of the lay of our current part-time staff. We had about 22 part-time staff members on the roster. Of that 22, we had really only about 16 that participated. With that, then I had in February 28th of 2025, I had issued a directive 25-02, which essentially tried to establish some sort of part-time commitment that we required then these part-timers to participate in the organization in order to maintain their employment here. We had a lot of people on the roster that hadn't showed up for 6 months, which affects their training, their ability to stay current in the organization's practice. And so in order to try to clear some of that dead weight from the roster, and I say that not derogatorily, but respectfully, with that directive, we asked them for a 12% commitment. Essentially, we asked them to submit 4 shifts monthly that they could participate. And then they may or may not get scheduled for all 4 of those shifts, but at a minimum, we needed at least 4 shifts. In the early math that I did, if we had about 30% participation, that would be 9 shifts per person. It would take about 23 employees to be able to cover our hours without having to create an overtime situation for these hours. And so we're continuing to try to work on that, but as long as the position's not posted, it's creating a problem in trying to get those covered. I did give direction to the staff that we had to stop filling some of those part-time hours in order to try to keep from having a budget overrun here at the end of the year as far as this part-time staffing is, because a lot of the part-time is being covered with with overtime hours. And we just can't continue to do that if the money's not there. And so by opening this up and trying to get this staffing level at least to 23 and hopefully maybe up near the 25, 30-ish level, we'll be able to cover the department activities here, the staffing needs that we have without creating those overtime situations or situations where they run into like 29 hours and then the city has to extend benefits to them. So my request to the council is that they allow me to post for these positions. We continue to pursue a part-time roster that is adequate to supply the service demand needs in the city.
Essentially, what you're saying is that right now you're covering with overtime and that overtime is costing you more money than if you hired these folks.
I would be, and I am in some cases just to try to provide the minimum service level. We're running into some staffing issues Saturday. I had to come in and work a good chunk of the day Saturday. And again, salaried position, but it is a cost of doing business. But we also had a problem with covering the shift with adequate firefighters, just some pretty serious staffing issues that we're dealing with because of it. So if we could open that up and get that level up and go out and do some heavy recruiting.
And then while we're at it, if we could just discuss that last one, then essentially you've had 1 full-timer leave. You've had 4 full-timers.
That's the second. We have 1 full-timer leave. We have 6 that are currently applying in the metro for several different departments to leave the organizations.
You're asking for at least 1.
This I'm just asking for the ability to post to bring our roster back up to near 23, 25, hopefully, of part-time staff. We're currently at 16. We had 5 resignations after I issued that directive, and most of those were expected that they weren't participating at all. One gentleman was a paramedic who's in medical school, who's getting ready to do his residency, and he could no longer make the commitment to the department and staffing shifts. The other was a dispatcher that just couldn't do 4 shifts a month. Like, again, that 12% participation.
But you also are asking for to fill a full-time position.
Yeah, that's a separate item. Do you want to consider them both together?
Well, I might as well if we can.
You bet.
Just take a quick shot here.
You bet. So I can present that. So on third division, so we were at recently, we are at the numbers that we are 15 full-time operational staff. Again, those cover 24 hours a day, 7 days a week over 3 divisions. With this 15 full-time, and because we have some that are in and out because of attrition, the compensatory time, sick leave, military leave, time off, we went back and punched the numbers, and our average coverage for 24 hours a period last year in 2024 was 3.8 employees. So we don't even have enough to get 2 ambulances out at any given time. And certainly there's quite a bit of overlap in our calls where we need at least 2 ambulances. That leaves you no fire coverage in the city. We're relying on mutual aid and neighboring departments quite a bit for calls, which does impact some of the revenues we bring in because they get to bill for those runs versus, and I think the bigger issue than that is that the citizens here don't have an Indianola ambulance in front of their house. They have a Milo ambulance or a Hartford, whoever can answer the call, Norwalk at that time. So with that, that full-time position, I'm just requesting that he resigned effective April 7th, 2025. And that was to take another job outside of the city. That was actually a career advancement for him. So I don't fault him for that. But we would like to replace his position to bring that level up to par as far as 15 full-time FTEs, full-time employees, full-time equivalents for our operations.
Any discussion?
I'm in favor for doing both.
Yeah, we had 202 EMS rescue calls, so it's, 6.7 calls a day. I don't know how many of that 6.7 is running up to Des Moines, but I see the ambulance running up and forth to Des Moines quite a bit, which leads to help from our neighboring communities as well. So yeah, I'd be in favor of bringing our part-time staff up to the 23 and filling that vacant position.
Also okay with the full-time?
Yeah, filling that one vacant, right?
Everybody okay with both those? Got your direction, chief?
Sir. Thank you, Council.
Interim city manager's report.
Well, you took one of my things already, so that's good. First of all, I'd like to thank council and staff for all the work on city management process and several months of this transition period. So I know a lot of input from the community and staff. A few things, the Wellness Campus started a Backpacks for Hunger. You can drop off. It's a food drive. The Wellness Campus Library and City Hall are doing right now. Well, you already mentioned about National Library Week. The Wellness Campus having a community day on Saturday.
Yes.
Gotta make sure that the Wellness Campus.
Sorry, Heather, forgot that one.
Plug in, we're good.
Yeah,
Okay.
Thanks, Doug.
the Rush facility opened on April 3rd. I know it's that time of year to start cleaning up everything. Spring curbside pickup is April 21 through 25. You can definitely see all this on our website. Also, just to note that we are 31st straight year Tree City USA. So trees and the environment are important to us. You already mentioned about 501(c)(5) day. Want to give a shout out to Simpson College and their students and staff. They had over 750 volunteers that worked on campus day on Wednesday. They came out of the square and helped a lot of people. So it's really good to see them. They're already actually starting orientation this weekend.
There you go.
New students will be coming into town, so if you see them, welcome them. They're going to be hopefully new members of our community. And real quick, the Indianola magazine is online. It's not printed, but it's out there. So there's activities and information for everybody.
Thank you.
Encourage everybody to go to the website to get that.
Thank you. 2030, I know Josh, you and Christine are gonna talk about that, and one little small step we're gonna try to take, right?
Yeah, I spoke with Jason Holder and we're gonna set up a tour of that building with him and start to kind of unpack that. So, let's talk a little more after, right?
Good with everything?
What building?
Regions building.
Regions.
We're gonna go back through and I think correct me if I'm wrong, but you're just gonna look at it and kind of get a bare bones, what you think you can do. Is that kind of where we're at?
Yeah, we're gonna scrub through that Ryan proposal with Jason and get some better.
The issue we've got too with that building right now is that IPAID, which we worked through with the Iowa League of Cities, insures that building and it will not insure a vacant building. So we need to have some kind of activity there. I know we are using some of it for storage and that does count. But just keep that in mind as we kind of move through things, so. Anything else before I move us to a motion for a closed session to evaluate the professional competency of an individual under Iowa Code Section 21.51I, whose appointment, hiring, performance, or discharge is being considered when necessary to prevent needless and irreparable injury to that individual's reputation and that individual's requests a closed session. So I need a motion to move into a closed session.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second. Clerk will call the roll, please.
Member Stones?
Aye.
Ray? Bobby?
Aye.
Armstrong?
Aye.
Beach?
Yeah, that passes. We were going to be in a closed session in about 2 minutes here, so